Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be talking about participant observation as especially as a data collection technique. So participant observation is of course when the researcher becomes a participant and immerses himself or herself among the participants to collect the data. Now, of course, many people feel this is only used for qualitative research. However, let me tell you, you can also use it for quantitative research, and I will explain how to do that. So, when does a researcher immerse himself or herself among the participants? It is when they want to have a greater understanding of how the participants think, behave, observe, or perceive or react to situations, their behaviors, the complex interactions between the participants with either themselves or the society in general or towards a particular phenomena. For example, you want to study if the graffiti artist, so graffiti artists are people who use spray cans to draw on the walls of the community, common spaces, you can say that, or spaces as provided by the government for community use, but not necessarily for drawing. So if you want to find out that a graffiti artist, are they destructive or they contribute to the society? If they are destructive, what is the reason they are destructive? Or you are trying to understand why do they express themselves through art on big walls, and why not on smaller canvases? Or you want to explore church groups, why people follow a certain church groups, what are their beliefs about society, what are their beliefs about marriage, what are their beliefs about the LGBTQ community. So if you want to understand the perceptions of or the complex interactions between a particular community, you have to immerse yourself in that community as a researcher. The advantage is of course that, as you know, that a personal interaction is a very complex phenomena to understand. You cannot simply just ask questions and expect to have a very deep understanding of a society or a community as in general. So when you immerse yourself in that society or that community, you tend to have a much deeper understanding of where they are coming from, how are they thinking, where is a certain reaction stemming from. So for example, if you start to find a phenomena amongst graffiti artists, is that you might find that maybe they come from a family of artists, free-spirited artists, or is it that they come from families which are broken families, or they come from where society has rejected them for some reason, or they are simply creative people who need bigger canvases to express their art. So you can see here itself that I don't have an understanding of that community. So if I need to understand the community of graffiti artists, or if I need to understand the community of certain church going groups, then I would have to immerse myself in that community to have a good understanding of this community. Now the disadvantages is that sometimes we spend too much time in trying to establish a trust and a rapport with the community, especially if they know that we are collecting data. If they don't know that we are collecting data, then of course there are ethical issues which creep up. And especially in today's times, you have to address the ethical issues. So you have to justify why a certain community should not know that you are a participant, or they should know. So the problem is that often a lot of time is wasted by the researcher in trying to establish a rapport, in trying to gain their trust so that they can have honest feedback from the community. The disadvantage is also that sometimes the researcher's own biases start to creep in, because as you start to get to know someone intimately, as you start to get to be very close to them and understand their point of view, sometimes that bias may creep in and you may not be able to objectively look at a phenomena as a researcher. In such cases, of course, you should use the triangulation method, where you try to show the examiner or reviewer or the reader that you have collected data about a certain community and their reaction to a certain phenomena using different techniques, data collection techniques. So you can use surveys, you can use interviews, you can use focus groups, you can use observations, you can use reflective journal log, just to show how you arrived at your findings and your conclusion, and how how the different data collection methods are showing you the same results or maybe not. So you can justify it. I also mentioned at the beginning that participant observation is not only for qualitative research, it is also sometimes for quantitative research, where you may engage in qualitative research through participant observation, and then once you identify certain themes from the data that you've collected as a participant who immersed himself or herself in the community, you can then find out more about certain themes by converting these descriptive themes into scales like the Likert scale. So an example I can say is that if you have gone into the community of the graffiti artist to understand if their behavior is destructive or what is the reason for doing so, and you find out the different reasons, and one of the reasons you find out is that they come from broken families. So then you can choose the theme of the broken families. What do you mean by broken families, and have scales of as to why these families are broken, and how is it related to a birth of a graffiti artist, or how does it relate to why a graffiti artist tries to express their art over big spaces or canvases, or try to be destructive and or engage in vandalism. So of course it is a society's view on it. So you can then go into it and start creating scales or Likert scales as to where these reasons are coming from. So you can engage in any, or you can go deeper into only one theme and adopt the quantitative approach of it and use Likert scales to add to the data that you have collected. So of course in this kind of data collection method, you have to collect the data. It is like any other qualitative research. You have nodes and nodes of data, but then you have to go through these nodes and nodes of data multiple times and then identify the themes. And then when you identify the themes, it becomes like any other qualitative research data analysis. But how you can add value here is by showing the different ways that you collected data and arrived at your conclusion. So remember, participant observation is a very valuable technique to understand the community that you are studying. And when you show that you've spent time in understanding the community and collecting the data, of course it makes the reviewers and examiners very happy. But make sure that constantly as a researcher you are showing objectivity, you are showing how was any kind of bias or assumption addressed during the data collection. And sometimes you may also feel that you will spend a lot of time and still not get any value from the participants or community. It could be for any reason. Maybe you chose the wrong community, or maybe that you didn't establish enough trust or rapport with the community for them to open up to you. So these are some of the things that you have to be very mindful of. So sometimes here the data that you collect might be at a very surface level, and which does not make the examiners happy. So be very mindful, and before going into it, come up with a plan. Talk to people who have engaged in participant observation, and they can tell you more about the disadvantages and advantages, and also how you can address the disadvantages, what are the things you should be mindful of. So the more you talk to the researchers who have engaged in some similar data collection method, it will help you to plan for your own data collection. So before you immerse yourself in the community and decide to spend some time in it, you should be ready. You should have a plan in place, and that will help you to keep your research going as planned. It will be more scientific, more methodical, and you will know early on if it is the right data collection method for you or not, and so that you don't waste your time. And if it is the right data collection method, then you go with a plan which will help you to collect the data that you need. It will help you to make it very scientific and logical, even when you are presenting the data to the reviewers and examiners. So I hope this video was useful to you. If it was not, or if it was, please write in the comment section below. I'll be happy to read your comments and learn from it. Thank you, and I'll see you soon with my next video. Bye for now.